And there's the great pals, the giant hamburger, the hot dog, the shake, and the fries.
Canada, pals is right there, and Jim is a big dumb weirdo.
Alright guys, haven't done an actual review for a while, so I'm going to come up here with this unappreciated comic and how I feel. Came out in 1983, Sword of the Atom. Now a little setup here. This is, like I said, 1983. This is before Watchmen. This is before Dark Knight. And yeah, to a certain extent, I want to put this book in that kind of company, at least for the setup. And indeed, that is a bold statement. So Watchmen and Dark Knight pretty much were comics for grown-ups. The Dark Knight by Frank Miller, kind of brought in politics. It was, a little statement on Reaganomics at the time. And then you had the Watchmen, which, was the actual real world. What would make people, put on costumes? They were sexual, perverts. I say that jokingly, and then mildly retarded and compelled, a little psychotic, and all, flamboyant, all kinds of things. Listened to too much David Bowie back in the day. You never know. Now, and those were two extremes, and honestly, those books hit me like, excuse me here, but a kick to the nuts. And the other one was like somebody just, a big shot in the arm that kicked everybody in the butt there. And we lost a little something there. Comics got, grim and gritty, and it was like Ramones hitting rock and roll. You threw out half your collection because, you realized it was crap. And here's what comics could be. So this book, to me, works in here because this could have been the road not taken. Now, the main setup, what I'm getting at about the comics growing up with the people who were reading them, is what Watchmen and Dark Knight did. This book did a little setup to something which I thought was sort of brave, and it didn't really break from the comic book formula, where these were still newsstand books. You weren't trying to what's the word? You weren't trying to write the great American novel there, if you will, and all this stuff. Everything that happened in this book, all the changes the Atom went through, makes sense, and it still didn't go so far out there to where you were nervous. You weren't nervous about your kid reading this. So basically, what happens is that Ray Palmer is sitting alone at home, and he's waiting on Jean Loring, his wife, and he makes a few comments about their marriage going downhill and everything. And he sees a car outside, so he goes outside in the rain and he catches his wife with another man. And that's where we're going here. First thing that happens is some adultery going on there, marriage strife. And before this, the only really things that I can think of that stick out is Frank Miller brought in a little sex to Daredevil, and Hank Pym smacked his wife around. Way to go, Marvel. And Tony Stark has some alcoholism, and of course Gwen Stacy died back in the 70s and stuff, and that's what I'm getting at. When Gwen Stacy died, that was just a big moment in comics, and then look at everything that's happened since then. Not a lot of impact there. The Wasp died a few years ago. Now you have Hank Pym flying around calling himself the Wasp. And I kind of consider Hank Pym a big psycho, but I'm not going to get off track here. We'll talk about the Atom here. Okay, so after he catches his wife with another man and they have their talk, he decides he wants to go on an expedition to kind of get away from it. And that's the expedition is going to be in Brazil. And I'm going to show you a few pages by the great Gil Kane in this and stuff as I talk here. And the book really dealt with a man who was just wanting to get away, and boy did he. So if you have a little recap of the Atom there, so here he is, looking outside, waiting on Jean, like I just said. Looks outside, sees the car, and that bottom panel there, he's caught her. So basically they have a big talk. She feels neglected and everything, and she's really being sort of cold towards him. And he decides to get an expedition. We'll have some time apart. Well, wouldn't you know it, as they're flying over the Amazon, those big drug dealers hit, and they hijack the plane. Adam jumps up and fights them. And wouldn't you know it, they open the door. He just about flies out of the plane in his 6 inches. and gets struck by lightning and falls down into the Amazon. And now he is stuck at 6 inches. He doesn't grow back. He gets attacked by a snake, and this is where it turns into John Carter of Mars in a good way. We have Ray Palmer, the Atom, running around with the Justice League, and Gene Lord in Ivy Town being his little professor and all this stuff. All of a sudden he's on a different world, but it's on Earth. It's the Amazon when he is 6 inches. And he runs across, after fighting a big snake, he runs across other people, an alien race that have been stranded there in the Amazon who are also 6 inches, and they ride frogs. And this is where the story talks. They capture him, and he's forced more or less into slavery with the rest of them. The king's daughter takes a shine to him, and he puts up a big fight trying to get away from, getting out of this slavery. And they decide to make him train as a gladiator. He's thrown into the gladiator fights. And the first thing they do to train him, they put him up against some howler mice. That's what I'm calling them, big Amazonian mice, which you see here on the cover. The book goes on, and now we're like really into a whole new era of the Atom for real. And this was all done through characterization. The story progressed in a traditional comic book way. And that's probably why I kind of like this. It goes back and shows you can do so much with these characters, without just blowing it up, and I love Dark Knight, I love Watchmen, and I like Animal Man and everything. But everything they did in the Doom Patrol, everything these people did, they really just went out there, and it was like it was all a dream, or everything is wrong. You're not human, and you guys that read comics, you know what I'm talking about here. And they did this all in one issue, and it transitioned. It made sense. Maybe it's a little, it's a little bit forced, but it's a comic book. They got so many pages to actually tell the story, and that's maybe the only flaw. Is that it's a little bit fast paced. So as you see, Atom gets this costume here. It's his Atom costume, and they gladiator him up, and he ends up becoming something out of a pulp sci-fi novel. And the best thing I can compare it to is John Carter of Mars, but it doesn't rip it off. It's more of in the tradition of. And just get along with the story here. Basically, there's some rebels, and they're going to be fighting against the king to try to take back everything that's going on. And the princess falls in love with the Atom, and she joins the rebels, and you have a big fight. And whoops. So basically, they keep going here, number 4 here. And what happens is that it turns out this alien race came years ago, and they used surprise white dwarf radiation engine in their big ship that is now unstable, and it's about to blow up the whole castle, and it's about to just do all kinds. I think somebody's here. And the Atom stuck at his 6 inches goes in there, and he fixes it, and he starts to grow, and he holds the big castle up and everything because this thing is going to explode, and he saves everybody, and they run out through the jungle. The explosion hits, and all of a sudden he regains his human form. Now let's talk about his wife while this is going on. His wife, gets word that the plane blew up, everybody burned because it crashed, and the bodies were beyond recognition, so she thinks Ray is dead. Well, the first thing she does, she jumps in the arms of Paul. There's a little scene where, she's laying in bed and he's getting cleaned up. Body's not even cold, man. Not even cold. And if anybody read, 30-some years later, Identity Crisis, where Gene Loring, spoiler alert, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Gene Loring murdered Sue Dibney. That was the big mystery in Identity Crisis. It all comes back to this. This book had a ripple effect that, traveled up, and us kids of the 80s who read this remembered it. Much as the writer, Brad Meltzer and Judd Winnick, and we're all around the same age and stuff. So anyway, that's why this book is really cool and really important. They just changed the Atom's whole little everything. And alright, hold on, guys. Whoop. Hello. Okay, man, I'm shooting a video. I only have a minute here. Okay, look. It's not a Kirby knife. It's a curvy knife. Okay, I'm from the mountains. I have an accent. Curvey. And, you know, I'd kind of like it back. Alright, look. Just because anything labeled Kirby you want to get your hands on and claim as just, you know, as yours, it's getting really old. Alright? No, that wasn't a Ditko. That was Medco. No, you can't have that either. Look, I don't care who you are. Don't sit here and get an attitude on me like you did on The Big Bang Theory. I mean, my name's not Sheldon there, buddy. Alright, just bring the knife. It's not a Kirby knife. I don't care if you do know Kevin Smith. What's he done lately? Right. Oh, yeah, Excelsior. What the hell does that mean? Alright, man, I'm not going to get this. You're not going to get my blood boiling, okay? Just, no. Alright, I'm doing a video, man. I'll talk to you later. Alright? Yeah, enough said. Whatever. Bye. God. I ain't going to tell you who that was. Anyway, back to some comic stuff here. Turn that off. Okay, so the Atom grows up. I'm not sure where I left off now, but the Atom, you know, got to his normal height. All the people had scattered, and he's never going to find them again. He has to go home. So that led to a special. It was so well received that this is the Atom Special #1, and Gil Kane's art is just knocking this stuff out of the park. And from the get-go, this is pretty much picking up quite a while after the Atom returns, and it starts out the Atom's farewell. So they write this in you know, excerpts from the novel. And basically what happened is that Jean had found out that she still loved that Paul guy that she was cheating around with, and him and the Atom couldn't make it. And the Atom found out that he still himself was in love with the princess. So, you know, you got this whole tone that they're carrying here that, you know, marriage is, you know, Adam and Jean, and it's just not working out. They tried to make it. They've grown apart. They found other loves. Adam found a whole other adventurous life. And Ivytown is just so much smaller. It doesn't offer what it needs to. So basically this is the Atom going out and trying to find them, and everybody kind of forgiving them. And what I think is as cool is for you people who are into older movies, we got a scene out of The Incredible Shrinking Man here. Ray Palmer, trying to get his belt working again and stuff, goes after the cat. And you know what? I'm really not one of those people's fans of stories of people whose powers are messing up and everything like that. It's just, I don't know. There's just too much drama that comes with it that's just forced, you know. I mean, really, if you're going to experiment on yourself to try to shrink yourself, are you really going to do it by yourself? And are you going to have a cat, you know, floating around? Well, anyway, other than that small little critique, you know, we have a little adventure there, and it just goes on and on and on. And they try to redeem Paul. Because, yes, they do find, they go back down to the Amazon jungle, and they get taken by, you know, Colombian or Brazilian drug dealers again. I'm dragging this out, and I'll hurry up here. And basically, Paul ends up getting the belt, and he helps Adam and the people of the alien race when they find them. And of course, they came out with a second special. And Gil Kane is just loving what he's doing. This artwork is just so good. And this one is just kind of picking up where you have the two women of Adam meet, and Jean gets to explain herself a little bit with the princess. That's just one of the things going on. And excuse me, this is the one where Paul gets to redeem himself. Alright, trying to cut this a little bit shorter there, and I got rudely interrupted there, but you know, Sword of the Atom, cheap, it's good, and they got a special part 3 out there, but I never picked it up because Gil Kane didn't draw it. But just a nice little era of an unappreciated comic that I enjoyed, and I go back and read it, and Gil Kane's artwork in there just blows me away. You know, you can just follow the story without really reading, and that's the sign of a great comic book artist. And you know, a lot of these guys today need to go back and look at that. Again, that's one of my biggest pet peeves is the talking heads and stuff in comics. We're going a whole new rant. Anyway, thank you guys for all the comments on my girlfriend's mom being in the hospital, and all the thoughts and some of the mail that came in, and the shout outs that everybody's putting out there. And I want to do a very special shout out for two people here, CTC Spirit, who just made a video and gave everybody a shout out, And Dakin Howlett. I mean, dude, I watch your videos, I enjoy them, and then I get on here and I go blank and I feel like a complete ass, excuse me, after I've made the video. But then check out Dakin Howlett. Constant Bromstar just gave the guy a great description in one of his videos, which Constant Bromstar, we all shouted at each other. Guys, just get in there and play on our pages and look at our subscriptions and stuff and play around and have some fun. All right, that's it, and keep them swinging.